Francisco and other newspapers in the Catholic newspapers in the area. We had an insert 1260 AM Catholic radio, and I think here you have a bumper sticker as well. And I haven't seen those. These
are little cards. Oh yeah, here. If you want to find out more, if you're listening right now, you can either call toll free 1-888-866. It's a toll free number 77-HEART HEART, and then the website. So it's 1-866-77-HEART HEART. And the website is ihradio.org, and you'll see right there the program guide for San Francisco and a little flash on the front page that says we're here now in San Francisco, and then you can find out more about the station, how you can support. We really, the first thing we want people to do is pray. Mainly, we're asking folks to listen and to pray. Pray for the success of it. Pray for the folks who maybe used to be able to listen to the Rosary, but had not had a chance for a few years now, and now they can hear the Rosary 3 times a day. And pray for the apostolate. And if you can, support financially. It is a listener-supported station. And folks in San Francisco have an opportunity to be kind of charter members of this particular endeavor. And what will happen is the community of support grows, and also the local feel and the local sound and the local connections begin to grow through the parishes, schools, universities, and all kinds of businesses. They end up becoming supporters just by underwriting the segments of time. It's a certain amount of time per hour, and altogether it makes it happen. To sustain the station. We still have plenty to do, but the main thing is for people to listen and listen with their heart.
What kind of programming could I be expected to hear on the radio?
Well, I have to say my favorite show is Catholic Answers. It's on Monday through Friday at 3 o'clock. And I think that if you asked quite a few other people, they would say the same thing. But I really, number one, Jerry Usher, the host, is a good friend of mine. And he and I did radiothons in Portland, Oregon when I was up there. And it's the thing I like about the show is that it's kind of a live version of frequently asked questions about the faith. A lot of times young adults, people who've been living the faith for years, end up having someone ask them a question, what's the deal with the saints? How come you guys pray to the saints? What is that? And they don't always have a quick answer. Catholic Answers, the show, is a great show to listen to, and over a period of time, really every day you learn something new. And if you can't hear it on the show, you can look up Catholic.com. It's our website, Catholic.com. That's my favorite. I like it because the guests vary and the subject matter varies, and there's always call-in. It's great hearing people call in.
Is that a call-in format as well?
Yeah, It was great once the station came on the air in San Francisco to hear people calling in. And Bill from San Jose. Yeah, great. I wonder if I know him.
That would be a sense of camaraderie.
It's really
we're on the air now.
It's really great. So Catholic Answers. I also like the news programming see, Immaculate Heart Radio is an apostolate that does Catholic radio, but it's serving the local community. There are some of the sources where we get a lot of the programming. Excuse me. Ave Maria Radio, in the Midwest, has a selection of programs that they offer, and they've got a cluster of stations there. Well, we take some of those shows as well. In Catholic radio, people are sharing shows. They're offering the programming for free to each other so that we can help build up the network. So we take some live shows, Cresta in the afternoon, Al Cresta, and some of the shows there. EWTN, the Global Catholic Television Network, has a radio. It's EWTN Radio. So they have 24 hours a day, 7 days a week radio programming. Their radio feed used to be just the audio for their TV, and that stopped about, maybe even 10 years ago. So now they're full-time radio, and they have all kinds of shows, and even the call-in shows and the news at the top of the hour type shows. We're talking about the Vatican Radio. I think they stream the Vatican Radio. So the other thing that's interesting is that with Immaculate Heart Radio, you'll hear things like Midnight Mass. You can be driving home from Midnight Mass, and they'll re-air the Pope's Midnight Mass in the Vatican. So there's a lot of that special programming that happens that's kind of exciting. If something's happening, if there's a something new happening in Rome, we'll be able to hear about it.
And you're really connected to the Universal Church.
Yeah.
I was driving in this morning and I heard, maybe it was the source was Vatican Radio, but it was an interview with the new director for the museum, Vatican Museum patrons. Fancy way of saying that, there's a great deal of money needs to be raised to support those museums, which are the operations of them. And they look for benefactors and so forth. And a wonderful interview with this wonderful Legionnaire of Christ priest, who is, just a wonderful calling, but a wonderful human individual. So it was a nice interview, very delightful. So I think people driving, maybe drive time radio, if you're driving, 1260 AM is a good place to get respite. I mean, I turn the dial sometimes, and I push the button, and it just go on and on and on. There's nothing. Sometimes I think there's nothing worth anything on this radio, so I turn it off.
Yeah,
but,
I agree.
At 1260 AM, I think you'll probably find something you'll like.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm same thing. I have got my news station locked in, and and the other stations I tend to listen to, and a lot of people say, well, is this Catholic is this gonna be, Father, talking, and is it gonna be really, boring? But I have to say it's not. It's actually very compelling. I mean, and I have to say, as a radio person that's kind of a connoisseur, I guess, I don't know. I listen to a lot of radio, basically, because I've had to commute a lot. I really like it. It's not, maybe you listen for a little bit and maybe you change things back, but depending on what they're talking about, it's quite compelling, because some of these people who are calling into these shows are having life-changing experiences. There are a lot of the pro-life shows, or shows that really try to impart a respect for life in all its stages, and you'll get people who have heard some of the talks and they're almost literally crying, or on the air talking about, at that very moment, they're having a change of heart for the whole of their life, a life-changing moment. And the hosts are so pastoral and gracious and loving and welcoming, and it's such a beautiful thing to just be sitting there listening to that happen as you're driving down the road. Whereas some of the other news and radio that you hear can get pretty depressing. It can get you down if you just keep listening to it. This is a lot of good news on 1260, so it's really true.
There's a story that Father Andrew Johnson told me about the radio station, and all. You know the story, but it's a story that Doug Sherman was really, and he and other people who were involved in it, the benefactors, were anxious to get on air by December 8th, the Feast of the Immaculate Conception, and that was their target. They really wanted to get on December 8th. And after one particular time, Doug said he really got downbeat, and he didn't think they were going to be able to do it. But he talked with Brannigan, his son Brannigan, who's studying to be a priest and was ordained recently.
Legionary
of Christ. And he said, well, I'm going to say a novena that's going to hopefully get you on the air by December 8th. And as it turned out, they were on the air December 10th. But there's a great caveat. For a couple of hours on December 8th, the previous owner, as a test, allowed Immaculate Heart Radio to broadcast programming. So they were indeed on the air on December 8th. So it's kind of an inspiring story, I think.
That is inspiring, and it's a testimony to the people who are really making this happen. People mention Doug Sherman, the founder, but really Doug is one of a number of people who have come together responding to this call for the new evangelization. And as all of us are part of the body of Christ, each one of us has a different calling, a different gift. Doug has his, but there are a lot of people, like the engineers, people I'm getting to know at the working at the place there at Immaculate Heart Radio, and they all are also responding to a call, no matter what they're doing. And I heard that